Hi and welcome back to my channel. I'm Rosetta, a Tokyo-born romantic with an international lens and a passport full of stories. Here, I explore life in Japan from dating to culture and all the little things in between. In my last video, I walked you through what Japanese online dating culture is like overall. Today in part 2, we're diving into some very uniquely Japanese traits that might just surprise you. For these next few points, this is where things start to feel quite different, especially if you're used to dating culture abroad. Without further ado, let's slide into it. On Japanese dating apps, it's not just about how many likes you get. You can also see how many likes other people have gotten. Some apps even label users as popular members or display how many roses they've received. And those roses, they're basically paid virtual gifts. And it's all very transparent. And while that sounds helpful, I can honestly feel a bit savage if someone barely has any likes. It shows. And when you come across someone with hundreds of likes, while your little two-digit number just sits there looking lonely, it's hard not to spiral. Suddenly, dating turns into ranking. And you're not just wondering, do they like me? You're also thinking, do enough people like me? Meanwhile, in most Western apps, this kind of information is private. You usually can't see other people's stats, and even your own likes are sometimes hidden unless you pay. And this level of visibility, I haven't really seen it outside Japan. Now we move on to the humble flex. On a lot of Japanese profiles, you'll see lines like, I'm not really sure how this app works, or my friend told me to try this. And it's a subtle way of saying, I'm not desperate, or I don't usually do this kind of thing, because there's still a little embarrassment or stigma around online dating in Japan, and people don't want to seem like they can't meet someone in real life, or appear they're super into the app. Meanwhile, in the West, people are way more open about why they're on the app. You'll see bios like, looking for the one, here for a good time, not a long time, here to meet someone real. There's less shame and more clarity. This kind of plain and cool bio is something pretty specific to Japanese dating culture, you could say. Okay, one thing you'll notice right away in many Japanese dating apps, men pay, women don't. Guys usually have to pay to unlock messaging, while women get full access for free. For women, there's no pressure to respond, or even to take it seriously, because when something's free and easy to join, there's just not as much at stake. And that creates an imbalance. The energy level just doesn't match. One side is paying to talk, the other's barely trying to reply. So for men, it can start to feel like a subscription to rejection. In most Western apps, it's more balanced. Messaging is usually free for everyone, and if you do pay, it's for extra perks, not based on gender. But in Japan, it's kind of like men pay, women pay. Now, I get the logic because women are outnumbered on these apps, so they're just trying to attract more of them by granting the VIP access. But still, it definitely shifts the dynamic, especially when your wallet gets involved before your heart does. There's nothing like sending a thoughtful, flirty message only to get hit with, cool, LOL. No follow-up question, no effort, just dry vibes. You're the only one asking questions. No attempt to keep the conversation going from their end. And it starts feeling less like a conversation at that point and more like a job interview. Except you're the one doing all the work. And yes, this happens everywhere, but on Japanese dating apps, it is extra common, and many users expect the other person to lead. And women tend to be more passive. Why? Because there are less women and more men on these apps, and they get tons of matches, so they don't always need to try. Or maybe they've just never really learned how to flirt back. In Western apps, I've found that both guys are usually more playful, curious, and engaging. They ask questions, show interest early, and try to build momentum. So if your chat feels like a one-sided tennis match, you're not crazy. You might just be playing in the wrong league, or with someone who's not even holding the racket. Now, let's take it slow. In Japan, people are very cautious about meeting up in real life. They'll often chat for weeks before suggesting a date, and asking for line on Instagram too early might scare them off, especially for women, because there's still a little fear around meeting strangers from apps. Stranger danger. If you say, "Hey, wanna grab a drink this weekend?" you might get something like, "Let's talk more on here for now." And culturally, there's a mindset of, let's take things slow and safe. You really have to build trust first. But if you're used to apps like Tinder or Bumble in the West, you're probably expected to meet up within a few days or exchange socials quickly at least. If you're using a Japanese-made app, just know things move a lot slower than what you might be used to. But hey, if you do make it to the first date, it might feel more intentional, meaningful, and even a little more romantic. In part 1, I mentioned that not everyone on dating apps is actually there for romance. Now let's go a little deeper into that, especially with what happens in Japan. Yes, like I said before, some people are just looking for friends or want to practice English. And of course, in the West, there are people who promote their OnlyFans or Instagram on dating apps. But here's what's more Japan specific. Some people use dating apps to recruit you into things, not online. Person, they'll match with you, invite you out for coffee, and suddenly you're being pitched a business seminar, a religious group, or self-development workshop. You think it's a date? They think it's networking. And of course, it's not everyone, but it happens just often enough that people in Japan know to stay alert. And the tricky part, they usually don't mention it in their bio. No warning, no hashtags, maybe just vague lines like, looking for deep connections, let's grow together. If someone's profile feels oddly mysterious, and they won't say what they're actually looking for when asked, there's a chance they're not looking for love. As you've seen, online dating culture in Japan doesn't just look different, but it does hit differently. And at some point, I might do a breakdown of specific apps like Pairs, Bumble, Tinder in Japan, and more to help you figure out which one fits your vibe best, depending on what you're looking for. And in the meantime, I'd love to hear your weirdest or most surprising dating app experience. So let me know in the comments. Until then, stay curious, stay sweet, and sweet dreams.